Does your mind seem naturally tuned to dwell on the negative? Scientists refer to this as the negativity bias, and today we're going to explore how to push back against it. As David Goggins once said, the same inner voice that tells you to give up can be trained to say, keep going. In this video, we'll walk through 5 techniques to help you push negativity out of your life and move toward a proactive, stoic way of thinking. You don't have to let negativity take over. Your mind can be directed to focus on what's within your power to change, and from there, actually make those changes in the world. We'll begin with cognitive diffusion, a strong method for creating space between yourself and your thoughts. Next, we'll introduce pattern interruption, a way to disrupt negative thought loops as they happen. After that, you'll learn about negative visualization with a twist, TST, an old Stoic practice given a modern spin. Then we'll get into behavioral activation, because sometimes the most effective way to shift your mindset is simply by changing what you do. And finally, we'll cover mental model design, the process of reshaping your thought habits so they empower you instead of limiting you. But before we dive in, let's take a moment to ask, when does negativity actually become a problem? It's not inherently negative to say, I can't find my wallet or I've locked myself out of the house. That's not what we're talking about here. The negativity we're referring to involves judgment-heavy, unproductive thoughts that don't move you closer to your goals, thoughts that only leave you feeling worse and acting less. These are the kinds of mental loops that often fall under the labels of depression or even apathy. At the core of this philosophy is a belief. We live in a world where both our actions and our thoughts can improve our situation. If your thoughts are contradicting that truth, that's what we define as negativity. As Epictetus said, we might not be able to control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And developing stronger responses, that's what this video is all about. So let's jump into the first technique. Cognitive diffusion. What exactly is cognitive diffusion? It's a psychological tool that helps you take a step back from your thoughts and recognize them for what they really are. Just thoughts, not truths, not reality. The term diffusion is the opposite of fusion. It's about creating a bit of space between yourself and your thoughts, instead of being completely stuck to them. Let's look at some ways cognitive diffusion shows up in practice. Rather than thinking I'm a failure, you begin to notice I'm having the thought that I'm failing right now. Instead of believing nobody likes me, you shift to my mind is telling me that nobody likes me. A noticeably strong statement. And when your thoughts say, I can't handle this, you recognize I'm noticing that I'm having thoughts about not being able to handle this. Once you see what's going on, you can respond. Here are a few methods to apply when it's time to practice cognitive diffusion. First up is the leaves on a stream technique. Picture your thoughts as leaves drifting along a stream, and imagine yourself simply watching them float by further and further away. You're not interacting with them, you're just observing. Another method is called thank your mind. Whenever a negative thought arises, you simply respond with thanks for that thought. By doing so, you acknowledge the thought and let it move on. That moment of recognition is enough to create a little separation. Then there's name the story. This involves identifying recurring patterns in your thinking and giving them a label that fits, like, there's my not good enough story again. Just by naming it, you bring awareness to what's happening and reduce its control. Lastly, try creating imaginary physical distance. Visualize writing the thought down on a balloon and then watching it float away into the sky. It's similar to leaves on a stream, but this version uses a stronger visual element. You're mentally sending the thought away, as if placing it in a timeout. You can return to it later, but for now, it doesn't need to be right in front of you. To summarize, techniques like leaves on a stream Thank your mind, name the story, and create physical distance can all be used whenever you notice intense negative thoughts. These give you room to breathe, to settle down, and to think with clarity. The core insight of cognitive diffusion is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the observer who sees them arise and pass. Now let's move on to our second technique, pattern interruption. This psychological approach is designed to help you snap out of negativity by shifting your mental or physical state. When your brain gets trapped in a loop of unhelpful thoughts, pattern interruption acts like a mental reset button. Your brain builds and reinforces pathways through repetition. When you continuously think negative thoughts, those pathways become like well-worn trails. Your mind naturally follows, like water running downhill, always choosing the path of least resistance. Once these patterns are established, one negative thought tends to spark another. So the question is, how do we disrupt that cycle? One method is surprisingly straightforward. Use temperature. Splash cold water on your face. Step into a hot shower or hold an ice cube in your palm. These sudden changes in temperature can shock your nervous system enough to snap you out of the loop. Another powerful disruptor is movement. Stand up and stretch, jump rope for a minute, or just walk into another room. Shifting your body physically can interrupt the mindset you were stuck in just moments before. Mental engagement also works. Solving a simple math or logic problem or playing a short, focused game can redirect your mental energy. The effort it takes to concentrate makes it hard to hold on to negative thoughts at the same time. You get the idea. What's important is having a pattern interruption toolkit at your disposal. Start by recognizing your most frequent negative thought cycles. Notice when they tend to show up. Then choose a pattern-breaking method that feels right for you and is easy to use in those situations. It's a simple idea, but it works. Now let's dive into our third technique, behavioral activation. This method is grounded in a powerful principle. Sometimes the most effective way to change your thoughts isn't by thinking more, but by doing more. As Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Rather than endlessly dissecting why you feel negative, behavioral activation urges you to act your way into a better mindset. Here's how to apply it. Start with the 2-minute rule. When negative thoughts hit, commit to just 2 minutes of positive, constructive action. Too low on energy to clean your entire space? Just clean for 2 minutes. Dreading an important project? Work on it for 2 minutes. More often than not, you'll keep going once you get past the resistance of starting. Next, focus on building a history of positive action. Every small step you take becomes a piece of evidence that challenges your negative beliefs. If you often think, "I never follow through on anything," then completing even a single task stands as proof against that narrative. Over time, these small wins accumulate, making it harder for those beliefs to stick. Third, create specific action plans that pair with particular negative thoughts. For example, if you often think, "I'm not making progress," your go-to action might be to list 3 recent things you've accomplished. If the thought is, "I'll never be good enough," then spending 15 minutes practicing a skill could be your response. The idea is to prepare ahead of time, so when the thought arises, you're ready to respond with action. Lastly, make sure to track your successes. Keep a simple log of your actions and how they influence your mood. This gives you a visible trail of your efforts and helps you spot which activities consistently help you feel better. When your mind says nothing matters or nothing will help, behavioral activation answers back with evidence. It's difficult to keep believing you're helpless when you're actively doing something to move forward. To sum it up, start small using the 2-minute rule. gather positive evidence through small tasks, create action plans for specific thought patterns, and track your wins. This approach works because it moves you out of passivity and into purposeful action, and that shift alone can be enough to loosen negativity's grip. And now let's move on to our fourth technique, thought recording, a method that's all about gradual improvement and putting you back in control. The concept is straightforward. By examining your thoughts in a structured way, you can learn to distinguish helpful critical thinking from unproductive negativity. It begins with effectively tracking your thoughts. Today, we carry powerful tools in our pockets that make this easier than ever. Apps like Mood Notes, Thought Diary, or even your phone's basic Notes app can do the job. The important thing is to quickly jot down emotional or intense thoughts as soon as they arise. Once you've captured the thought, here's what to do next. Analyze the evidence, both supporting and contradicting the thought. Let's say the thought is, "My presentation was a disaster." You might note some evidence for it. "I stumbled over my words." But then challenge it with evidence against, "My boss thanked me afterward." This method helps you develop a balanced perspective. Instead of concluding, "I'm terrible at presentations," you might land on something more accurate like, "I had some rough spots, but I still connected with my audience, and I can improve with practice." The idea is to keep the useful critical thinking, the kind that helps you grow, while letting go of the excessive negativity that serves no purpose. The Stoics taught that recognizing reality, including its challenges, is essential to gaining wisdom. Thought recording is a tool that helps you see events more clearly, without letting pessimism cloud your judgment. So here's the recap. When a recurring negative thought shows up, first, write it down exactly as it appears in your mind. Then, list the evidence for and against it. Finally, create a more balanced alternative that reflects all the facts and offers a clearer picture of what's really going on. What you'll often discover is that your belief in the negative thought fades, not because you forced yourself to think positive, but because you confronted reality more honestly. And that's always a good thing. Our fifth and final technique is called mental model design. While the other techniques help you deal with negative thoughts after they appear, this one focuses on reshaping your environment to keep negativity from gaining a foothold in the first place. Think about it like this. If your goal were to eat healthier, you wouldn't just count on willpower every time you open the fridge. You'd stock it with nutritious options and remove unhealthy temptations. The same idea applies to your mental environment. Let's begin with your physical space. The surroundings you live and work in deeply affect the way you think. The ancient Stoics understood this well. Seneca advised choosing both your company and your environment with care. That could mean something as basic as creating a distraction-free zone for focused work, or clearing clutter in your living space to reduce the visual chaos that can create mental noise. Research backs this up. People who operate in tidy environments tend to stick with difficult tasks longer, an edge that helps stop the conditions where negativity tends to grow. Next, let's look at your digital environment. Your devices can either serve as doorways to inspiration or as traps for anxiety. Try this. Take an audit of your phone's home screen and your social media feeds. Replace apps that provoke stress or comparison with ones that promote learning, reflection, or calm. And be intentional with your media intake. If certain news sources are feeding your negativity bias, it's worth setting limits. But mental model design goes beyond just your surroundings. It also includes developing routines that reinforce healthy thought patterns. The Stoics emphasize consistent daily practices to strengthen the mind. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, began each day by journaling to clarify his intentions and reconnect with his values. You could do the same, perhaps starting your morning with a short gratitude list or visualizing success. At night, you might reflect on what went well in your day, not just what went wrong. These routines help lay down mental tracks that favor constructive thinking, eventually making it more automatic. Finally, this technique sometimes calls for a deeper kind of shift, restructuring the life situations themselves. One of the boldest steps you can take is to leave environments that fundamentally conflict with your growth or your values. As Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Mental model design is effective because it recognizes that we as humans are shaped by the context we're in. When you intentionally craft that context, you make it easier for your best self to emerge. You build a life where positive thinking becomes the natural path, not the uphill battle. In short, this technique is about constructing a world where Stoic resilience becomes second nature, your default mode. Start with that and keep refining your surroundings to support a stronger, wiser version of you. Conclusion: we've now arrived at the end of this video where we explored 5 powerful Stoic techniques for overcoming negativity, cognitive diffusion to step back from unhelpful thoughts, pattern interruption to disrupt negative mental loops, behavioral activation to use action as a way to shift thinking, thought recording to analyze and understand your thought patterns, and mental model design to shape an environment that naturally encourages positive thinking. The negativity bias may be strong, but so is your capacity to retrain your mind and reshape how you respond. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By consistently applying these Stoic techniques, you can change how you relate to negativity and build lasting resilience that supports every part of your life. Whether you're launching a business, changing careers, or tackling any of life's challenges. If you found these ideas helpful, consider sharing your experience in the comments. Tell us how you've worked with these techniques or your broader journey with Stoicism. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to begin their own path toward inner strength. And remember what Epictetus taught: you always have the power to turn any circumstance into a moment of growth. Whether you're diffusing negative thoughts, interrupting harmful mental patterns, engaging in positive action, recording your thinking, or redesigning your environment, each moment offers a chance to fortify your inner citadel and turn setbacks into strength. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos on transforming life's challenges into opportunities for growth. To leave you with the words of Marcus Aurelius, always a reliable guide: reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. You can train your mind to overcome negativity if you're willing to put in the effort and choose to think well. Until next time, keep building your inner strength, one Stoic practice at a time.